I've been wanting to ask this question for a few days now. And as a person who rides around their city a lot, and in the past I used to do it more, like when I was, friendly with people and had a lot of friends and whatnot. Been a bit of a loner the last several years. But when I was out there, I was all over the place. And never seen no police brutality that wasn't happening, I guess, to me. I mean, I've had some situations where the cops were a little rough with me. But I never just was riding down the street and, oh, there go a black dude getting beat up. Oh, there go another black dude getting beat up. Oh, they're black. Like, I don't see this, like, because one of the main things, pushback I've been getting against my videos against this abolish the police thing is, well, we got to reform, and it still is police brutality going on and whatnot. I don't see it. Now, I have seen criminals getting arrested. I have seen people getting arrested where I didn't know a damn thing about the whole situation. I'm just riding down the street, some brothers getting handcuffed or whatnot, and I don't know jack shit about that situation. I just keep on driving. I ain't gonna stop, get out, start recording the cops, telling the cops not to kill the dudes. I don't know if them dudes being arrested for pedophilia. I don't know if them dudes being arrested for messing around with children. I don't know if they got 10 women tied up in their basement. I have no idea what a brother's getting arrested for when I just happen to ride past. So I'm not going to be one of these idiots to get out their car and go check on the situation. I just know that the police, I ride around. I know black people. Black people, can you come pick me up? I tell black people, ride with black people. There never is their conversation, unless the person insurance or license or something ain't right about it. But if the person got all this stuff straight with their car, there's never a conversation about the police gonna pull us over and kill us. That conversation's never had. So I just want to know, everybody get in the comment section of this video, if you've had an experience of where you've seen police brutality recently. And recently, I mean the last ever. You've just been somewhere and the police have just jumped on a brother for what you know of is no reason. And you understand what the situation was. The brother was there. He was just walking through the Target, pushing his cart, and the police just came over and hit him upside the head with a billy club. Or you were riding down the street in the hood, and the brother was just walking down the street, and cops came up and just robbed the kingdom for no reason.
Mack, I said right in your neighborhood, right in your street. So now, is this more of the cause you were saying about the shooting the other day on Carolina Avenue, about it's because of poor water and asthma?
I mean, there's a lot of systemic issues that lead to it. This is a community that is still fighting for quality education. Just this week, we had a principal resign. There are many systemic issues that are not just about the guns that are on the street, but are about families who want access to housing, who don't have hope, who want access to jobs. And
now, this is the state representative up there in Rhode Island. They just had a mass shooting that I covered. I think it was Friday. 9 people of African descent were shot in this woman's district. Since then, there's just been non-stop shooting and chaos in the streets, broad daylight, bullets flying through people's homes, hitting people's cars that have nothing to do with it. And this woman is talking about some goddamn a principal resigned. And people need the reason people are doing this is because they need access to housing. So if you gave some goddamn Bloods and some Crips and some Latin Kings or whatever gang, pick a gang, access to better housing, like they've done with the housing projects, they just turned it into hell. That's what projects were. Low access to housing. They turned it into what we now call the projects. What do you think when you think of projects now? That was the reason they invented the projects. What is this woman talking about? This is a state representative who looks just like the woman on Colin Kaepernick's book cover. Listen to what she's saying is the reason why niggas is shooting each other in the streets every day in her district.
About the shooting the other day on Carolina Avenue, about it's because of poor water and asthma.
I mean, there's a lot of systemic issues that lead to it. This is a community that is still fighting for quality education. Just this week, we had a principal resign. There are many systemic issues.
Mack, I said right in your neighborhood, right on your street. So now, is this more of the cause you were saying about the shooting the other day on Carolina Avenue? About it's because of poor water and asthma.
I mean, there's a lot of systemic issues that lead to it. This is a community that is still fighting for quality education. Just this week, we had a principal resign. There are many systemic issues that are not just about the guns that are on the street, but are about families who want access to housing, who don't have hope, who want access to jobs. And
isn't this about criminals?
This is not about criminals.
This is not about criminals. Like the shooting the other night's not about criminals?
Criminals don't just appear out of nowhere. They come from systemic problems.
Right. But in order to solve it for the residents, shouldn't the city have the gang database reinstated?
Yeah, up there they got rid of the gang database. See, what happens, every city has this, where they know who the gangsters are. So all you black people thinking they just running around grabbing random black people, even though you or nobody you know has ever been grabbed up by the police. They have a gang database. They have one in every city. They have these guys' tattoos, like all their tattoos. I don't have any tattoos, but all their tattoos, they have listed. They have all their known aliases, all the addresses where they've ever hung out at. They got all these gang members, files like this thick on every gang member in your city. So when it's a shooting, they really know who did it. They know who's warring. They know which gangs did it, yada, yada, yada. But they still just need public people to come forward sometimes. A lot of times they don't need people to come forward, but many times they need people to come forward. Witnesses and things like that, or people to provide information or give them leads or tips. But they have files that stick on most of those guys down, most of the guys that are shooting up your neighborhoods, because they're all repeat offenders. They're all guys that do it over. It's the same guys over and over again. Like in your city, it's the same, depending on the size of your city, it's the same 100 guys, it's the same 1,000 guys, you know, doing all of the crime. And they're all black. Not because I hate myself, just because that's what it is. Or there's a portion of them that are Latino, and in some places there's a portion of them are white. You know, it depends on where you at, but in all the cities, the majority of them are black. And because of that, in this woman's district, she said that was racist to have files on the gang members who are doing all the shootings, that are killing the kids, shooting the women that are going grocery shopping, shooting the grandmothers that are sitting in their rocking chair in their living room, shooting the kids making TikTok videos in their living room when they're having shootouts. It's racist because the majority of them are black. Now think about it. She's saying having a gang database is racist because the majority of the gang members are black. She's not a coon. Blackity blacks and woke people don't call her a coon for that. She's saying they're most black because she's saying that it's racist to have a database on those guys in her district. I say it I'm a coon.
We had a principal resign. There are many systemic issues that are not just about the guns that are on the street, but are about families who want access to housing, who don't have hope, who want access to jobs. And
isn't this about criminals?
this is not about criminals.
This is not about criminals. Like the shooting the other night's not about criminals?
Criminals don't just appear out of nowhere. They come from systemic problems.
Right. But in order to solve it for the residents, shouldn't the city have the gang database reinstated?
I don't believe so. I think we need to invest more into the communities.
But what would be the harm in knowing who some of the criminals are in the community?
What would be the harm in preventing someone from a life of gang activity by giving them access to affordable housing, quality jobs, wages, and hope?
Now, you know someone was shot and killed in Oneyville last night.
I do know that.
So we had 8 people shot on Thursday night, a fatality last night, and 2 people shot here. Don't you think this is a time for something automatic to be done?
Listen to the guy. He says, don't you think this is a time for something automatic to be done? So in the midst of this crisis, which has been going on for years, but since 2020, it's just escalated. In the midst of this crisis, the boat's sinking. There's a hole in the boat. That's her plan when the boat's sinking. Woman looks exactly like the woman on Colin Kaepernick's cover. She looks exactly like her.
You know someone was shot and killed in Oneyville last night.
I do know that.
So we had 8 people shot on Thursday night, a fatality last night, and 2 people shot here. Don't you think this is a time for something automatic to be done?
Yeah, and I think this...
What you're talking about, that's more of society adjusting things.
I think affordable housing and investment in affordable housing can be automatic. There have been people who've been fighting for it, like myself at the State House this year.
I mean, this is your neighborhood, Camp Street.
Yes.
So now, but right now, what is your reaction? And again, folks, with us is Senator Tiara Mack. Right now, Tiara.
Yes.
Pronounce it one more time.
Tiara.
I thought so. Providence is right now the largest outdoor shooting range in the state.
Yes, it's unfortunate.
So why not more effective, aggressive policing?
Because that won't solve the reasons why there are people on the streets to begin with.
Right, but it'll make people safer.
They didn't prevent the shootings, the 11 shootings that happened in the last 3 days. The police have not prevented those 11 shootings of young people and family members who've been shot in the last few days.
The police haven't stopped. She doesn't see this. This is why Colin Kaepernick put a woman who looks just like this on the cover of his book. Sisters don't want to tell you that. They want to act like he just pulled a rabbit out of the hat. He just pulled the name out of a hat. It was a bunch of women in a hat, and he was like, dark-skinned black woman with kinky, coily 4C hair. Somewhere, whether under a wig or whatever. But a black woman with kinky, coily 4C hair. They don't want to tell you this. This is why he chose this picture. Now, salute to all the sisters online. The sisters online ain't having it. On YouTube, Paris Milan and all them, Tanya TKO, all them women, Chrissy, they not for this. I get that. And I'm not talking to them, which would be common sense. Obviously, I'm not talking to them. Because I know somebody, you know how niggas start shit on YouTube. Obviously, if they are not saying this, then obviously I am not talking to them. Okay, so this woman right here, Tiara Mack, like a lot of black politicians, black female politicians, like all of the black female politicians, all of them, let me just say all, All of them. She doesn't understand that, yes, the police didn't stop all these, but the criminals, they have to stop shooting and get in their car and speed off. They have to be strategic about where they go shoot, because they can't, if the police, like, it would be more of this, Tiara, if the police weren't around. So if you have more police, there would be less of this, Tiara. And she just can't get it. She make you stupid too. She make you try to get in her convoluted, systematic, and all that bullshit. Listen, woman. Yes, there's a lot of shootings, but it would be more if there were no police. And if you have more police, there will be less shootings. And if you keep the criminals in prison when you arrest them, there'll be even less shootings. Giving the criminals free houses, free apartments, and hope, all they're going to do is turn the place you give them a house at into a gang territory. They not going to disavow their gang because you gave them a house. Tiara, Mack. If that was the case, how come when you give them a free housing in prison, prison becomes a gangster's paradise? When they get that free housing, Tiara, Mack.
Pronounce it one more time.
Tiara.
Tiara, I thought so. Providence is right now the largest outdoor shooting range in the state.
Yes, it's unfortunate.
So why not more effective, aggressive policing?
Because that won't solve the reasons why there are people on the streets to begin with.
Right, but it'll make people safer.
They didn't prevent the shootings, the 11 shootings that happened in the last 3 days. The police have not prevented those 11 shootings of young people and family members who've been shot in the last few days.
No, you have talked about abolish the police. Do you still feel that way?
I think we need to rethink the supports that our communities need in order to survive. We have folks out here who felt like they had no other option besides to fight for whatever it was. They don't have access to quality education. They don't have access to affordable housing. They're being pushed out of neighborhoods that their grandparents and their parents have lived in for generations. I think it's an issue of feeling hopeless, and that sometimes comes out in the violence that we see here. But I think it is more violent to tell people that they don't deserve housing, that they don't deserve a living wage, and that they don't deserve high-paying jobs.
What about just...
This is... Now, I mean, do you see why Colin chose this woman who looks just like this for his cover? Not because the women on YouTube. Because of black female politicians. This is how they all sound. All of them. The Squad. Maxine Waters. Keisha Bottoms. Lori Lightfoot. All the way down the line. Tamika Mallory. Patrice Cullors. All of them sound like this. It's foolishness. Housing. Don't you know that all these guys got housing? All these guys got housing. What you talking about? Give them a high-paying job for what? For nothing? Or for a skill that they have? So just give them a bunch of money for whatever skill they have, more than what the going rate for that job is. So if they got enough skills to work at 7-Eleven, we supposed to give them 6 figures for working at 7-Eleven. And one thing sisters don't understand, because they've been so indoctrinated with this crap, a lot of dudes is just bad to the bone, man. Every black dude ain't a king, man. Every black dude ain't a king that just went awry. He was a king, but the white man's system made him a violent criminal. How do you explain Africa? All the wars going on over there that you don't know shit about because it's not on CNN. If CNN covered Africa the way they cover the Middle East and Palestine, you niggas would be horrified. You niggas would be the hell with that Afrocentric shit. I don't want no parts of that. You niggas would disavow Africa. If they covered that shit the way they cover Palestine, that little Israel, that little piece of land the size of Delaware, get more coverage than the whole continent of Africa. I bet none of y'all even ever heard of Boko Haram. If they covered, if CNN and MSNBC covered Africa the way they cover that little sliver of land known as Israel, Palestine, the size of Delaware, they covered Africa that way, you niggas would never, ever go to Africa. Never. You niggas would stop all that back to Africa. Y'all would stop all that. RBG, y'all stop all that if y'all saw what was really going on in Africa. Every black dude's not a king. Some are, I guess. Some are high value guys. Some are kings, whatever. But this notion that the ones who not is the only reason is because of the system of white supremacy and whatnot.
They don't have access to quality education. They don't have access to affordable housing. They're being pushed out of neighborhoods that their grandparents and their parents have lived in for generations. I think it's an issue of feeling hopeless, and that sometimes comes out in the violence that we see here. But I think it is more violent to tell people that they don't deserve housing, that they don't deserve a living wage, and that they don't deserve high-paying jobs.
What about just following the law? Not everyone's a criminal. There are poor people that don't resort to that. Do you just accept the fact that there's sometimes amongst us, everywhere in the world, there are criminals?
No, I don't think people are inherently bad, and I think that is a very scary way to live the world, thinking that there are inherently criminals around us. I believe in the good of all people, and if we can invest more resources into the people around us and build communities that are safe and fruitful for everyone, then we can have a much safer society for everyone.
Right, but that's more theory. I mean, how do you think the people here or the people on Carolina, how do you think they would feel if you said, let's get rid of the police and bring in the social workers?
Well, I haven't asked that question yet, so.
Okay. Now, you're very firm in your belief. You just feel right now, with all the shootings that are going on, that you still feel abolish and defund the police. Those are your convictions.
I think we need to invest in communities, and I think that's the most pressing issue right now.
But let me ask you this, as an elected representative, when you preach to children, defund and abolish the police, and then then when there's a crime and they don't cooperate, don't you feel some responsibility that you have led to the criminal activity because people aren't cooperating with police?
Boom. Boom, sister. When a little girl got shot at Popeyes in Chicago the other day. No, not Jaslyn. She got shot at the McDonald's a few weeks ago in Chicago. 7-year-old Jaslyn. Another girl, little 2-year-old girl, got shot at the Popeyes in Chicago the other day. And so many other little girls being shot all over the country, but I'm just using these two for example. In those cases, when no one comes forward initially, because eventually they got tips, but in a lot of these cases with kids like that, when no one comes forward because a little girl's been shot, or a little boy's been shot, or a civilian, an upstanding civilian's been shot, for no reason at all other than just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Or being at the right place at the right time. Because goddamn, the little girl was some of these little kids are in their fucking living room. sleeping. When the bullet flies through the window, it shoots them, it kills them while they're sleeping. So let me stop that. Wrong place, wrong time. That's bullshit. That's Negro babble. When these people are going about their everyday lives and they're killed in cold blood by savage thugs, and no one comes from the community comes forward. Yes, I truly believe that a bunch of women, black women running around talking about defund the police contributes to that. Why the hell would I come forward and y'all running around talking about defund the police, abolish the police? The hell would I come forward when your little niece, your little cousin gets shot by these thugs? Hell no, I'm not coming forward. I know who did it, but I ain't saying shit. Cause you running around talking about defund the police. What the hell would I get them information for? You saying they bad. They just killing brothers for no reason, right? They the enemy, right? That was an excellent point. Let's see how she responds to that.
Now, you're very firm in your belief. You just feel right now, with all the shootings that are going on, that you still feel abolish and defund the police. Those are your convictions.
I think we need to invest in communities, and I think that's the most pressing issue right now.
But let me ask you this, as an elected representative, when you preach to children, defund and abolish the police, and then, hold on, then when there's a crime and they don't cooperate, don't you feel some responsibility that you have led to the criminal activity because people aren't cooperating with police?
I don't believe that is a cause and effect that has happened.
You don't think that when you say abolish, defund the police, that doesn't have an effect on children?
No, I do not. I believe. Nope.
So you know, are you?
That I'm more than happy to have with you, but not right now when my community is hurting.
I know.
When there was a shooting right down the street from my home. That's a conversation I'm more than happy to have with you at a later time. It's much broader than something that we can have in 2 minutes. And I appreciate you coming out here to take coverage of this unfortunate event that's happened. But I think the focus needs to be on the families that are hurting in the community and not on larger conversations that we can have at a different time.
Okay. And just, Senator, one more thing. That's it? Okay. All right. I give you credit. Thank you. Folks, again.